I woke up well past noon. The house was far too silent. I skipped school again. Oh, to hell with it. This was now about my life. Or was I dramatizing everything too much? I entered the kitchen and froze in a stupor. My head felt heavy, my thoughts jumbled. I could sure use another 600 minutes of sleep or so right now. A glass of cold water brought me back to my senses, more or less. I looked in the mirror. Oddly enough, the black eye was gone. I checked all the doors. They were all securely locked, same as yesterday. A note from Himitsu lay in the hallway. She was worried, yada yada, she'll visit after school, blah blah blah. No need for that, thank you very much. It was perhaps the first time in my 18 years of life that I was in a situation like this. The move to Japan in my early childhood, the difficulties with adaptation, my parents' death, all those events have been difficult, but I perceived them as fate rather than as a result of malicious deeds. This was different, something was threatening me directly and someone was warning me, genuinely or not. But of what possible interest could I be, and to whom? And then it dawned on me. Really, I probably wasn't of interest to anyone by myself, but this could be about my parents. After all, they emigrated from the USSR and they worked for the Kobayashi Corporation. And the voice yesterday definitely spoke Russian. It may have been distorted, but there was no accent. Sorry about my accent then. I didn't know what my parents worked on precisely, but it could very well have been something serious. It could. A lump formed in my throat. It could have been something to kill for. And to my great frustration, I didn't even know anything about their work. But who would believe me? I had to do something quickly. I took out father's old notebook and started looking for the phone numbers of his work colleagues. Some of them I've seen in person, others I've only heard about. In any case, anything was better than simply sitting and waiting. Hello, my name is Nikolai Anokin and The first dozen numbers gave me nothing. Some no longer lived under that address, some places simply didn't answer, and one man had even died since then. I turned the page. A number was written there in father's even, firm handwriting with 2 words under it. Ichinose-san. Ichinose? I've heard this surname before. Long beeps. 1, 2... After the 10th, I was about to put down the receiver when a familiar, elderly voice sounded on the other end. Hello. And then I remembered the Ichinose-san often visited us when I was younger. He was a perpetually polite, pleasant, kind-spirited old man. He would bring me candies and show interest in my schoolwork and hobbies. Maybe he was a pedophile. And then he and father would sit in the garden for long periods, smoke a lot, and talk about something while looking important. Hello, my name is Nikolai Anokin and I'm... Oh, Nikolai-kun. He interrupted me. It's been a long time, how are you? I'm fine. I gave a stock answer. I couldn't dump everything that had recently happened to me all at once on him, could I? A pity about your parents. The voice in the receiver saddened. I think Ichinose-san had attended the funeral. Thank you, actually, that is why I'm calling you. Well, not literally, of course. I went silent for a second. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. Could you please tell me about my father's work? I know he was an engineer, but what exactly did he work on? Did something happen? Why are you suddenly interested? And now of all times. To tell you the truth, yes, something did happen, but it doesn't matter. Why not? You can't tell me? No, I can, of course. It's just... Why should I even trust him in the first place? Just because he visited us a few times and acted friendly toward me? Will you tell me or not? Is this some kind of secret? It's not a secret, but it's not that simple either. I understand it's not simple. I'm not a child anymore. I muttered in response. So, what happened? Some people came and asked about father, about his work. I lied. They asked about his work. Ichinose drawled in a vague tone. What exactly did they ask? I don't know. I mean, I didn't tell them anything because I don't know anything myself. And how were they asking? What do you mean? Well, what was the tone? Now I was absolutely certain that he knew far more than he was letting on. Moreover, it seemed like Ichinose was afraid of something. Do I have a reason to worry? You know this better than I do, he replied coldly. If I knew anything, I wouldn't be calling you, right? Nikolai-kun, you shouldn't be dragging yourself into this. Why? Do you know something? Tell me! It concerns me as well. No. You of all people have nothing to do with it, and if you stay quiet, everything will be alright. But I said everything there is to say. Do not call me anymore. Now the beeping was short. Beep. Everything will be alright, my ass. On the other hand, I should thank him for indirectly confirming my suspicions. This was about my father. I gathered my thoughts and tried to remember everything he ever told me about his job. Engineer... What do engineers do? They build, or rather, design. Oh god, what did a stupid teenager care about details like that? What mattered was having pocket money and everything being fine in the family. But I was certain that father didn't exactly work in construction. Defense forces, perhaps? Did father used to work for the military? But what did that matter to me? I knew absolutely nothing about his work anyway. If all of this wasn't some stupid hoax in the first place. And I think I have to put the volume a little bit down from the music. Okay, let's try it again. If all of this wasn't some stupid hoax in the first place. The hour hand of the clock was already approaching 3 and I still haven't even eaten breakfast. And Himitsu would be here soon. The note had been clear on that point. Enough, she was not my mother. Of course, I felt ashamed of these thoughts. In any case, what I needed right now was some fresh air. I decided to have lunch in my favorite bar, even despite the fact that something unpleasant happened to me there yesterday. The bell above the door made a pleasant ringing noise, but none of the few patrons present inside paid me any mind. Wait a moment. Okay. The bell above the door made a pleasant ringing noise, but none of the few patrons present inside paid me any mind. Only the bartender gave me his usual smile and waved his hand. Oi, Kolya! You're visiting us often lately, I see. Not like I'm not glad, but after yesterday... I stopped at the counter, not knowing what to say. No, my resentment toward him was already gone. After all, everyone had their own life and job. And I see the ambient voice is still a little loud. Okay, let's check this out. Now I don't hear any ambient sound anymore. Oh, that may be a little bit too quiet. Let's see. That's better, much better. Will it be the usual? No, I'm here for lunch. Got it. What would you like? I don't know. Give me a beefsteak, I guess. It will be done. The bartender managed to almost perfectly copy the Japanese way of addressing guests, but perverted it in his own manner and ended up sounding more like an overly kind-hearted owner of a medieval tavern. I sat down at a table and sank into thought. The beefsteak turned out to be expectedly decent. This place served fine cuisine in addition to beer. I was lazily picking my teeth with a toothpick when the bell over the door rang out pleasantly, signaling the arrival of a new visitor. Michael was standing in the doorway. He was the least person I expected to see here. Though, why exactly? He noticed me and sat down at my table. The bartender was near us immediately, placing the menu in front of him. Friend of yours, Nicolas? He drawled nastily in Russian with French mannerisms. Something like that. He's a classmate. I replied in Japanese. What would you like, good sir? I just can't understand whether I'm more annoyed or amused by his behavior. Just coffee. This very minute. The bartender sang out and ran behind the counter. Are the classes over? Yes, and you didn't show up to them. Let's say I had things to take care of. I've known Michael for 2.5 years now. He was American and his parents have been working in Japan for quite a while now as well. We were never particularly close, but his seriousness and unusually mature attitude towards life inspired certain respect in me. You could call him a complete opposite of Kioske. You have no desire to explain anything, as I understand. Not really. Some guys from another class were bragging about giving someone a good beating. So what? I snarled, annoyed. It was hard to tell whether Michael was hinting at something or simply sharing a story from school by simply looking at him. Did you hear anything about that? Nope. I see. He continued sipping his coffee, looking somewhere past me. I could be uncommunicative as well, but Michael... Did he really feel comfortable right now? So, how's school? That seems to be my standard question in this situation. The usual. And how's Catherine? The question escaped my lips unbidden. I hadn't even thought about her today. Michael set his cup down on the table and stared at me intently. I don't know, because I don't know her. Oh, right. Back then we were in different classes. He continued giving me this weird look. Rape face. What? Did something happen between you two? You probably already heard it out from Kioske. But I'm asking you now. Well, yeah, something did happen, but that was a long time ago. And now? Now, there's nothing. I see. Are you asking because of are you asking because the two of you are from the same country? I'm just asking, and why did she transfer to the school exactly? I don't know, ask her. I was already fed up on this question, even though I mostly been asking it myself. Did you think there may be a reason for it? I did or I didn't. What does it matter? You don't know her. When it comes to her, thinking is useless. Apologies, I didn't want to upset you. You have nothing to do with it. There are simply more important things to worry about. For this entire time, Michael had been speaking in a voice so even and calm that it was starting to get on my nerves. If he really didn't care, then what was with all these questions? And it wasn't a very pleasant topic in the first place. Sorry, I didn't know that you two are still... He coughed pointedly. That this is an unpleasant conversation for you. You could have guessed. Well, you can imagine. I felt like throwing money down onto the table and walking out. But I didn't have many friends as it was, and this kind of behavior was normal for Michael. Has anyone asked about me at school? I haven't heard anything of the sort. Well, alright, and how are you doing? Not bad, but there's barely any free time lately. I'm getting ready for matriculation. Matriculation. I drawled. And where are you preparing to go? Back to the States, most likely. What? Got tired of this place? I grinned. The higher education is better there, that's all. Michael replied calmly. His words hurt. After all, I didn't have much choice in the first place. And even if I wanted to, with grades like mine, I could only expect the minimal wage on a low qualification job. Or our conversation had been falling apart since the start. Alright, I think I'll be heading out. See you at school tomorrow. See you. He said in the same tone. Okay, that was not the same tone. I gave the bartender a parting wave and left the bar. Were we in a courtroom, Michael would have made a great prosecutor, strict, cold, impartial, and operating solely with facts. Then what would my chances be, given that I fly off the handle at the drop of a hat?